The final frontier of free speech.
Views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of Vegas Allnet Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.
Knowledge is power, and this is powerful stuff. Wellness Education Cannabis Advocates of Nevada present the We Can 702 Nevada Cannabis News Hour with the We Can radio team. For the next 60 minutes, we'll take an in-depth look at the cannabis reform revolution sweeping the nation. Now, let's fire up the news hour. Here is the We Can radio team.
Oh, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Nevada Cannabis News with We Can. We have Perry Haichu on the first microphone, Kurt Dukoch, myself, I'm Jennifer Solis, then we have Jason Sturtzman, and finally, our very, very, very special guest and my friend, Lady Reiko.
What's up, everybody?
Hi and hi.
Hello. Rastafari.
Lady Reiko is with the Sin City Prophets, and she is the Vice President of Las Vegas, or Nevada Normal. Welcome,
Hi, everybody.
Reiko.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
And many of you that have
giving me your time, giving all of us your time. We much appreciate it.
And many of you that have come out to our previous events in the past and seen some of the live music, a lot of that was provided by Lady Reiko here. So.
Absolutely.
She's been a long-time supporter of ours, and we support her and her efforts and everything that she's doing now. And speaking of your efforts and what you're doing now, what do you got going on?
Well, right now, my biggest thing that I have going on is I am planning a reggae cancer benefit for my dear, dear friend, Bunny Cunningham.
Oh.
He is in stage 5 prostate cancer right now. He's been using a ganja therapy, combined with some other holistic therapies, and he's been doing okay, and so we just want to support him in any way that we can. Taking a financial load off of someone, really helps to alleviate stress and, make the journey a little bit easier. So whatever we can do for Bunny, he's been just such a big asset to the reggae community and also to the ganja community. He's been a really big supporter with me at all of the ganja events. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that is
really
true.
I feel really strongly, to step out and help him now.
And, and Bunny, a longtime musician, a longtime reggae musician in this community. Of course, just everybody, he's just a really great guy. Every time I've seen him, he's come out to several of the events and donated his time too. And so that's the least we could do, is just to give back to people that,
Absolutely.
that
we
are
do
helping.
What we can, I mean, when your friends are down and out, there's just nothing you wouldn't do to help them. So I encourage all of you guys out there, if you know Bunny, even if you don't, come out and support. We're having a benefit for him on Sunday, January 17th, 2016 at Backstage Bar and Billiards. It's on 601 South Fremont Street.
Fremont East.
Yes, it's like right by the beauty bar, insert coins in that area over there.
Oh, right on.
And we're also asking for donations for silent auction and raffle prizes. So if you guys have those extra gift cards from Christmas laying around, or you got 2 of something that you think would make a great raffle prize, please, come out and hit up We Can and see how you can donate, to Bunny's cause.
Definitely. And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be ganja-centric.
No.
So, hey, if
you have a spa package, who doesn't want to go to the spa, or,
definitely
take your kids to Adventure Dome or something, anything is really appreciated.
And we'll be promoting this, throughout this month and coming up to the event. So if anybody feels like they not only, if you can't give money or you can't give like a gift, how about giving your time? We need also people to sit at the tables to kind of help out in that capacity.
And also, social media is such a powerful vehicle.
Definitely.
If you can't, make it even, get on social media and help us by sharing our event, by telling people about it, and by encouraging other people to give what they can.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure we got an extra vape pen or so that we could donate.
I'm sure we've got a couple of things we can
we'll see
donate
what
for
we
sure.
can do, definitely.
So,
I'm looking forward to the show already. And
it's going to be an awesome show. We've got a ton of people that are stepping up and donating their time to Bunny. We've got Jessica Manalo, ST1, Ludlow, Dante's Inferno, Nashing, Bon Bud, DJ Green Lion.
Irie.
It's just really, really, really growing. People are calling in Big Bamboo as well. So anyone else that wants to come, we have a live painter that's going to be painting. Andrew DeLeon will be in the house, and his finished piece will be silent auctioned at the end of the night. So, yeah.
Come out.
Very cool.
So to find out about this event, they would go on to NV Normal on Facebook. Is that correct? And maybe I would hope that we're gonna post this on our weekend as well.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yep,
Yes,
on our-
and we
on our
also
new
have an
webpage.
event page. If you look for Reggae Cancer Benefit for Bunny Cunningham, it'll pop right up.
Right on.
RSVP and share it with your friends.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Do
you,
it
guys.
right now.
Well, speaking of giving back, in Denver, volunteers give away free marijuana to the homeless on Christmas Eve.
I'd like to be allowed to do that someday. I think that would be a clever give back.
Well, I think it's becoming a lot more popular is to kind of give out cannabis and give out meds, and we've been doing
I'm
it
sorry,
in our
but I've been
community.
doing that for years. I will not give somebody like $5, but if I see like, somebody sees like, dude, you got any money? I was like, nah, dude, but I got this roach. You want it? And he's like, yes. I've never had somebody say no to a gifted joint or roach or something.
You know what?
Everyone
That's the
will
joy
take it,
of
no
it.
doubt.
It's great. They're like, I've had people complain about giving them change or giving them a hamburger. They're like, I don't want that shit. No one's ever said that about.
That's definitely true. And you know what? What happens when you start giving stuff out? It starts coming back. Somebody just gave me an ounce and said, if you know somebody that needs this, just give it to the person that needs it. And I was like, somebody just asked me like yesterday.
Yes, pay it forward. It always, what goes
Definitely.
around comes around. Always.
It does.
I guess I should adjust my statement slightly. I'll be happy when we can all legally do it without fear of potential repercussion.
Yeah, and having to check their card and all that
well,
other stuff too.
I also have been in situations where I was smoking and a homeless guy walks up and he's like, hey, what's going on? I always feel not guilty but nervous to give them weed because like I feel like they have such bad luck that if they were to get caught with it or something, like it would just
It
be
would
more
be your fault.
Yeah, and it would just be more trouble than it was worth. Like I'm trying to help this guy out.
As long as
They
you're not
get
handing him a
popped for
business card
possession
as
charge.
you hand it to him.
Of course not, but it's just like, man.
And it's hard to be like, hey,
Master of the
dude,
game.
can I see your medical marijuana
No,
card
of course
first?
not. I'm just going to give it to them because I know they're down on their luck. But in the back of my head, I'm always like, man, like the cops are always, it seems like they're always gunning for them. And it's just another reason for them to get harassed. Or if they just get stopped, it seems like they just get stopped and harassed just because they are who they are. They happen to be where they are. I mean, I'm always
That's true.
downtown and seeing homeless people with all their stuff laid out all over the asphalt getting looked through. And man, if it happened to be me that was responsible for that, I'd feel really bad about it. So, like, I also do or have been guilty of gifting, but still, it's just like I'll be really stoked when all of that pressure is alleviated.
Oh,
and it'll
I-
be
Do you know
just
what?
so much more.
And
When
don't
we're
we have-
recreational, you mean?
Yeah,
Don't we have that coming up?
coming up,
A
IP1.
vote?
Initiative 1
Initiative Petition 1, yeah.
Yeah.
So when is it going to be on the ballot?
in November 2016.
All right. So
we
smoke
want-
the vote?
Smoke the vote. That means everybody that is sitting on their couches,
Right
in
now.
their houses, because we're not allowed to be outside in public, right? Get up off your couch and go to those voting polls and make
And
a
more,
difference.
and more important than that is register. Do you know
Yes.
how many
Yeah.
people get to the 11th hour and go, wait, I need to register? Can't I register there? And I'm like, this isn't 7-Eleven.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. If I would have been, or all of us would have been a little bit more forward thinking, we would have approached last legislative session and asked for some of these things. Hey, can we have same-day voter registration? Can we have on-site voter registration? Can we do online voter registration? None of those things. It didn't click with me, but a lot of our demographic that we'll be looking for has these issues of not following through. We see it with the patient cards. People wait till the last minute, etc. It's just how a lot of these people are. We want them to be registered to vote.
Procrastinators?
Yes, we want them to be registered to vote.
well, you know what?
And it has to be done a month in advance in Nevada.
Well, there's a great opportunity for all of you guys that are not registered to vote to register right now. You guys can go onto LasVegasNormal.com, and there is a link for you to register to vote. So
You
if you're
can
not,
register online.
Yes, it'll take you to, I think, Legal Nevada or some sort of link, and it'll take you to what you need to do to get registered to vote.
But so you can register to vote on your computer today, but they still have to send you the card. And
Yes, it's a process.
Yeah.
But,
It is a process, but one you can start on the couch.
Sure, absolutely.
And
we can start anything on the couch. Thank God for technology.
Man, seriously, like I'm so nervous about that though. Like just turning the vote out. Like everyone seems to be motivated, but we saw this. I think last show or the show before I was addressing this. I was at a Tom Petty concert in California. The last time they had it on the ballot for recreational legalization, and all these kids were sitting in a circle smoking. Everyone's real fired up. All young people. They can't wait for it to be legal. I asked them, "Are you registered to vote?" They all looked at me like they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And I'm just like, well, so I had to explain. You have to do it 30 days in advance, And this is the problem we face. This is going to be our issue. And no offense, but Mr. Adelson has recently purchased the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Yep.
I don't know whether he's planning
And
to
do you know that the
make a
Review-Journal
move.
and the Sun are all one paper?
Yeah, I remember.
So think about it. The only media outlet that we have that is free is right here, folks, right here. But and that's actually pretty true because if one person or a monopoly owns the media, then who really gets freedom of speech? Who really gets the real story?
A monopoly owning it.
It is what it is, and we just have to be consciously aware that he's donated money against legal marijuana initiatives before in different states, and his family is vested in rehabilitation clinics because I believe one of his close relatives, like a son or a daughter or someone like that, had an overdose. So he, of course, like many other uninformed people, I believe he holds marijuana semi-responsible
so you can say that
for that.
Mr. Adelson gives out a morphine derivative. What is it called?
The morphine derivative? I'm not.
Or
Methadone?
heroin derivative?
I'm not-
What, the methadone or something?
Methadone. That's it.
Yeah, methadone.
Don't they operate methadone clinics?
I don't know that for a fact. I know that I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do. But
Well,
I'm sure
there's
the
one
Adelson
right there
clinics
on
do.
Twain and not Twain and Swinson, but Maryland, and that is a Nathan Adelson
Yeah.
addiction clinic.
But still, it's just good to, I guess, identify your potential. I don't want to say enemies, but protractors.
And I just want to read a quote from Tick. So this was in the International Business Times recently, and I was also quoted in there. But what
Tick Seegerbloom?
Tick says, and we could just talk about this. He says, if Sheldon Adelson is the face of our opposition, we are going to win. People in Southern Nevada don't like him. I don't. I'm not sure. I would hope that would be the case if he decides to do something about it.
I had never thought of that.
Do you believe that if Sheldon decided to contribute towards the opposition of IP1, whether there would be a reaction to that and
Like a backlash.
I had never
Backlash
thought
of
of
some
that.
sort,
He
yeah.
is so
Yeah.
polarizing, and he has donated to campaigns that have lost before, numerous ones. Not everything he touches is gold, in the political world at least. I had never.
But would
I had
you
never
oppose
thought
him
of
so
that.
much that you're actually going to go vote for IP1?
I've never, that had never crossed my mind. That, like I said, his potential polarization could attract a whole new demographic.
Oh, yeah. And there was an interesting story that came out yesterday, actually, from the Las Vegas Review-Journal about the United States Postal Service. They put in there that the USPS has to worry more to worry about than marijuana ads. So, as you know, back in November, the United States Postal Service sent a memo to newspaper companies in Oregon stating that it would not deliver papers or other publications that included advertising for the marijuana industry.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and right now, the Review Journal just stated that, that they have bigger things to worry about than that. And
Well, when my high times when it comes,
there
it comes
is an
wrapped.
Adelson clinic for addiction. Our producer's
runs
showing
it.
us this, and his wife owns and runs that clinic, and it's a methadone clinic basically. And I know it's right there on Twain and Maryland, and I don't know from personal use. I've just been been by there many times, and I'm like, Adelson clinic, what is that?
Methadone milkshakes.
Yes, it is for methadone milkshakes. So yeah, there may be a vested reason that he does not want cannabis reform because there's an ongoing study that marijuana improves outcomes in opioid-dependent subjects undergoing treatment. And I've been saying this for
I've
a
been
long
beating
time.
that drum for a while for sure. I had
Yeah.
a good man.
Opiate.
I would like to get my friend in here. He was hopelessly addicted to heroin for years and started really diving into the cannabis community, and of course you have to want to change, but
Yes,
with the help
definitely.
of some concentrated cannabis, he was able to beat that addiction and is now a very productive person. And that's just Yeah, I thought he was lost for sure. Yeah, I thought he would be the next funeral that I was going to go to, and it's just.
And there have been so many funerals for pill-addicted kids here in Vegas. I've been here for 24 years, and my daughter grew up here, and she left here when she was like 16. She said partially because the amount of pills and the amount of drugs, and she's like, I never want to go back there. It's just horrible there. And I'm like, well, if you avoid the right people. And she goes, well, in my generation, there was not. This is what people did. They where they were taking pills. They went to school to get their, to get all of this stuff. So, and we had several deaths that she attended as funerals before she was 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah, I think
you get on the kids on Adderall. You start them on Adderall, Ritalin, something like that, and then now you need to even them out or whatever else. And they're just so used to taking a pill to make them feel differently that it becomes an addiction.
You think
and
they just get desensitized to it and
I do.
becomes normalized?
It's a medicine.
I think it's ridiculously, disgustingly normalized. I have a bone ache. Let me take some Motrin. I have a cough. Let me take some cough syrup.
The over medication.
An allergy. Let me take some Benadryl.
Oh, that's my drug of choice.
Well, it's some good stuff. Helps you breathe when you have anaphylactic shock kicking in.
No doubt. Western medicine is amazing for sure, but I think it's overused. There's a UFC fighter named Uriah Faber who's fairly prominent, and he, his family's very like holistically minded. He doesn't eat a lot of processed foods, and he had an interview, and they're like, well, why do you live this way? And he's like, look, everyone's approaching their health the wrong way. He's like, if you have a headache, you don't go take a pill for it. There's obviously something wrong with you. You're dehydrated, or you haven't eaten enough, or you need to manage yourself a little bit better. And that's why he's like, I'm very rarely sick, and he just went through this whole thing, and I'm gonna have to agree with him. I could spend days and days talking about it, but we've all seen the negative repercussions of over medicating. Like a friend of mine's father took Tylenol PM every day for a few years and now has shot kidneys.
Liver damage kidneys?
Yeah, he has to get dialysis. Not completely only for that, but it was definitely a major contributing factor in that. And all he was trying to do is get some sleep, and now he has dialysis 2 or 3 times a week or he'll die. So, it is what it is, unintended consequences.
I just pulled up some numbers from the Center for Disease Control on this, and this was reported actually today on the Huffington Post. And it says, with marijuana now legal in some form throughout 23 states, the number of Americans who fatally overdosed on the drug last year was significant. The rate of absolutely 0 deaths from marijuana overdose remained steady from last year.
Sure.
Okay. Now, a total of 17,465 people died from overdosing on illicit drugs like heroin and cocaine.
Oh, no.
25,760 died from overdosing on prescription drugs, including painkillers and tranquilizers.
You see, this is another thing. They underreport the number of prescription medication deaths because they don't list the deaths as what they are. When my friend died of an overdose, they didn't list it as an overdose. They listed it as like
accident.
They listed it as or like asphyxiation from an asthma attack. Well, the asthma attack was caused by the acute amount of all the amount of the drugs in his system, and I don't understand why that was the way. It was the same. It was the same with this girl I knew that OD'd. They didn't list it as an overdose. They listed as. It was like some kind of like she threw up, and it was just like a whole.
They can come up with anything.
Yeah, it was asphyxiation.
Well,
I don't understand why though. It doesn't make any sense why they hide those stats or why they massage them. I guess
they refer to they kind of point that out in this report about alcohol. They said that more than 30,700 Americans died from alcohol-induced causes last year. That doesn't include alcohol-related deaths like drunk driving or accidents.
So alcohol poisoning.
Because if there's any other reason besides the alcohol, they put it on that reason. And it's the same with the painkiller deaths, and it's just a shame that all these people are dying over prescription painkillers when we have a safe, effective medicine that
what was that stat that we have like 10% of or less than 10% of the world's population, and we use like 90% of the Oxycontin in the world is distributed here in the United States?
I believe that.
Yes, actually.
I think it's prison population too as well.
Well, it's just, are we really that much in pain? Do we work that much harder than the rest of the world?
No, but we're used to that much. We used to pacifying ourselves or making ourselves happy through external things in America, I think.
So what? It's an instant gratification kind of mindset? It
kind of is. I'm doing something to help myself, and it's maybe taking a pill, and in which this is one of the things that came out of the top 10 domestic drug policy stories of 2015 is that overdoses killed tens of thousands and harm reduction responses emerge. It says drug overdoses are now leading cause of accidental death in the United States. U.S. claims that 44,000 lives are lost through accidental drug overdoses.
Unbelievable.
And heroin is involved in more than 8,000 of those deaths, but prescription opiates are involved twice that number.
Cannabis is 0.
Again, cannabis is 0, but America is actually now looking at a way to save lives by giving the reversal agent naloxone or Narcan to people that are addicted to heroin, so that they can pull themselves out before they kill themselves.
Is this the anti-overdose drug? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yep.
So I don't think we have any legislation referring to that here in Nevada yet, either pro or against.
Well, I mean, I know in certain states they have a forgiveness policy that if somebody's ODing, that if they drop them off at the hospital or in other places, I believe too, if they had or sought out the interaction with a police officer, that they're not going to be charged with
contributing or whatever,
any type of use. And because in the past those people would just die, and now the hospitals and also the police themselves have this antidote to give to these individuals that are ODing.
Well, so and that's kind of what this article is saying, that our drug policy in America is looking at this as more of an opportunity for harm reduction. Give these people naloxone, give them Narcan, so that they can
just
not
civilians?
die. Yeah, it says basically they're
So we'll have a lot
access
of
to the drug
Pulp Fiction action going on.
Well,
I guess.
access to the drug is being increased around the country. Thousands of lives are being saved because they have access to the drug, that they can reverse their overdose.
So you have to give it to them in the heart, like in the movie.
No, it's not that bad.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
That's epinephrine. That's epinephrine, and that's straight to the heart. But the naloxone is a reversal, and so it's called an antagonist. There's an agonist, which is the drug. And what it does is it takes the body's respiration and it takes the physiological effects down. What naloxone does is actually block that, and it's called a drug antagonist or reversal
that
agent.
sounds like a common sense, thing to implement.
And usually it's by oral route,
You're
so it's
saving
not like
lives.
you're dying and you got to shoot yourself up now. So. So I think that's one of the great things that we have coming out of 2015. And you know what? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the other 9 domestic drug policy stories of 2015. I think some of them are really great and groundbreaking for America.
You're listening to the Weekend 702 Nevada Cannabis News Hour. Now, here again, the Weekend Radio Team.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Weekend Nevada Cannabis News Hour, and we are special guest, Lady Rico.
Hi, everybody.
She is the vice president of Las Vegas Normal, and she is the lead singer for Lady Rico and the Sin City Prophets. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we left on break, we were talking about a lot of stuff, but the top 10 domestic drug policy stories of 2015, we're kind of winding down the year, talking about everything that's kind of happened in America. How about the great surprise that we had, about the sky hasn't fallen on legal marijuana states?
Go figure that.
Kind of, we all knew that. That's really just kind of like... Everybody that has been involved in this movement kind of knew that nothing...
I was expecting a lot more rhetoric out of the...
Opposers?
Yeah.
The
this far
dying
down
of the light?
road. Well, just attacking the ancillary issues. Like, okay, a lot of homeless people have moved to some of the major suburban areas like Denver, Portland, and Seattle more than you. I haven't heard a whisper about that. I haven't heard anything about how a lot of the kids are applying to. Okay, the applications for UC Boulder and like the Oregon and Washington schools are through. Everyone wants to go to those schools now, And you haven't heard anything about, oh, well, we're attracting the wrong kind of kid. Nothing. They're just they're raising the fees. Everyone's happy. Not a word.
To kind of talk a little bit more about that, even the city of Las Vegas is talking about loosening up some of their restrictions. And after they've seen that the operators that have opened these dispensaries, that there's no problems that they're presenting, and also too, there's nobody in the community that's saying, wow, remember all those city council meetings where you had people standing up and they're saying, oh, I don't want this dispensary here because it's going to increase crime.
Oh, yeah. Don't make my kids walk by that.
Yeah, don't make my kids walk by that dispensary. And right now there's no complaints that are coming in from the communities against any of the local dispensaries. And I'm sure also in Clark County. And we don't have any in North Las Vegas just yet.
Can you speak to any specifics? Because I know the city's been very tight on the operators, or is this just kind of pillow talk at this time?
No, they are loosening up some of their restrictions, their advertising restrictions.
That's good.
To also even providing discounts to veterans, to first-time patients.
Well, they'd look real heels. They'd look like real heels if they said, you can't give a discount to a veteran or a senior.
We can't give discounts on medicine to people who are terminally ill.
I've seen billboards for multiple dispensaries around town, and I thought that was going to be a no-no. And with the discounts, we went in one the other day, and we were given free pre-rolls.
Free.
Speaking
of free pre-roll, where'd you go?
We went to the Source. They were right up on the corner there.
You were there.
You were supposed to get
you were there.
You didn't grab
yours. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know there was an opportunity for a pre-roll. I must have been looking at something or somewhere else in the store. I don't know.
Jeez.
Next time, grab me and take me. I want free stuff.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of the dispensaries, were we just having a talk about prices?
Oh,
recently?
gosh. Yeah, we were actually. We were looking at some of the Weed Maps prices for the delivery services that are not quite legal. And then we were looking at some of the dispensary services that are legal. And guess what? A lot of the prices at the dispensaries are kind of lower than the delivery services. We thought this would take a little bit longer than it did, folks, didn't we? Mm-hmm. I thought, within 6 months they'll have price matches. Oh, no. There are 6 dispensaries open, and they're price matching, and they're beating the delivery services.
Yeah, we were at Las Vegas Relief, and we had a $35 ace of cheese, and it just flew off the shelves, and now we're doing $40.
Cheesy.
Yeah, it was cheesy and yummy, and now we have strawberry cough for $40, and before that we were doing Fire Lane Kush for $40 for an eighth.
Oh, Euphoria had $10 grams of OG on sale the other day.
Yeah, that's right.
They're really. Nevada Pure. I'm looking at the back of the Elevate magazine here in Kathy's picture. They had $230 ounces of some of their weed that was not tested.
Price, yeah.
It's just like they're trying their best, and I think what we were getting at, pre-production, what we were talking about is these delivery services have been
operating.
How do I put this? No, what's the word I'm looking for? Blessed with the lack of competition, and they've been able to get away with the what they've been charging for so long, that they didn't really see a need to change their game once the dispensaries opened up. They thought that the shops would be just hamstrung by the taxes and there'd be no way they could compete with the prices for a long period of time, so they were just going to relax and do what they do.
And the stuff that you're not seeing and stuff that maybe you guys aren't hearing about is that a lot of these delivery services are actually being busted. And they're not news reports on it. They're not stories on it. You know how I'm finding out about it? People are calling me and saying, well, my regular service, got busted. What's going on? Got shut down. Or people not being on social media for a long time. And then I go, oh, wait, they had a delivery service? Am I dumb?
That's obviously backlash from the dispensary owners putting pressure on the sheriff. I saw on television when he
but it's not being It's not. There's no media.
Why?
Who knows?
Well, I know.
They want them to keep operating so that they can go after them. Is that what you think?
That's what my theory is.
Who wants the
they got a whole pool to feed
to
from.
Operating?
The sheriff.
They don't want it to dry up.
Okay, listen. If it's all in the news, delivery services are being busted, folks. Don't you think that more would shut down and leave?
That's true.
Know.
I see where you're saying.
What about in 2010? Nobody closed down.
They all got warned, actually.
They got popped, and then they all reopened again, and they're just like, oh, hell, we're just going to keep rolling.
I think it was cost of doing business, they were saying.
Simple as that.
And I don't know. And another thing that I'd like to touch on is now the legal state license places are carrying the edibles and are carrying the topicals and the CBDs and all the
Yeah.
stuff we want.
The lines are expanding.
Yes.
Still need more products though on those shelves.
Yeah, they're getting there. I mean,
Definitely.
today, Evergreen Organics started launching their line of edibles. They're starting to carry them at Inyo Fine
Brownies
Cannabis
and
dispensaries today.
What are they carrying over the brownies and maybe
Chocolate chunk
coconut
brownie.
Yep.
macaroons?
I saw. I'm not sure what they're carrying. I haven't been over there yet, but I've been keeping an eye on Evergreen. They've been packaging up cookies and brownies and all that, and I believe it's all past testing.
Do you know the milligrams in the cookies? Are they strong cookies? Are they 10 milligram cookies? Are they 100 milligram cookies? How floored am I going to get? Let me know. I need to know.
Let me pull up.
I don't know. How
Inyo Fine's
tolerant is
menu
your
here
system?
and
I
see what they
I
say.
like low dose edibles. So the honey bear that I've tried over at Nevada Pure, it's perfect. It's like a tablespoon, I believe, or I'm doing about a teaspoon a night, and it's pleasant every other night to help with sleep, and also make watching a movie before going to bed too way more
Tolerable?
pleasant as well. Yeah, and I get a little bit of giggles as well. It's a fun edible.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll have to get back to you on that because they don't have it on their menu yet.
Okay. Well, back to our domestic drug policy stories, the marijuana, and we're experiencing that, the marijuana majority solidifies. More people are in favor of cannabis than are against it at this point in America. So the tide has definitely not only turned, is now just overwhelmingly in cannabis support. I'm seeing a lot more police officers come out and say that that they're tolerant of it, and as evidence in different concerts, I've seen people getting busted for being too drunk but not smoking a joint right in front of people. So I guess the tolerance is I tripled or quadrupled, I think, in the past couple of years.
That's
What do you
awesome.
think? What do you?
I
guys
don't
think?
know. I've been honestly scared away from a lot of the local venues because of their overly aggressive policies against cannabis. So I'm very careful about where I can go see shows at this point.
Well, I'll tell you right now, MGM Grand Gardens, they are awesome.
Really, that you can medicate there in the Gardens Arena, and there's no security that's going to hassle you or give you a hard time.
Well, you see, in my former life,
What
I
show
took
were
care
you
of
at?
animals. I took care of animals, and
Dead
so
and
I
Company.
was walking in. I was walking into the Grand Arena, and one of my students had a dog laying down, and I walked up to her, gave her a hug, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "Oh," so we talked, and I said, "So is that dog for like drugs, or?" And she goes, "No, it's kind of just for like firearms and bombs. We really don't care." And she goes, "And plus, this crowd."
Yeah, but the dog hit down where my pre-rolls were too.
Oh,
And she didn't notice
Okay,
that.
but just for the record, what concert was this at?
the Grateful Dead.
Okay, so if you're at a Bocelli,
Yeah.
Andrea Bocelli show, they might not be as
Fish in a barrel.
yeah.
Well, I've actually been at reggae Marley concerts at certain places, and yeah, we've been hassled. So it just kind of depends, I think, on the venue.
That's
Ooh, yeah, like Brooklyn Bowl is not a good venue.
no. Well,
They used to
lately
be, I
they've
thought.
been actually really good lately. I played a show there not too long ago, and I
Very
could
cool.
smell things, and I didn't see people getting hassled. So it was nice.
Well, we can hope
Right
that
on.
those. How do I put this? I guess a place for us to congregate and enjoy music, spend money, and be calm and all that kind of stuff. Have a good time, see the shows. I hope they continue to do that. I heard a bad story about the title of the article was "Why the Doors Never Played Las Vegas." And the story goes that Jim Morrison and his manager came to Vegas to scout out a venue, and they're out in front of a club and they're smoking a joint, and this bouncer comes over because he doesn't like the long hairs and pulls out his blackjack and cracks both of them in the back of the head and split them open and this whole thing. And he said, "I'll never play Vegas," and they never did. And that's why the Doors never played Vegas. So it's just little incident like, I don't, who knows what could have happened, Elvis came to Vegas and stayed for a long time, and like it's just a
Well,
lot of
because,
those things.
I mean,
like,
you-
it could have changed
you
this
just-
whole town, the
you
world,
just
his
heard.
life. Who knows?
Vegas is more tolerant of pills and other addiction than cannabis, or they used to be. Thank goodness they're changing.
I think
Sure.
I think things are changing. I think that as dispensaries open up, the cultivation facilities open up, that there's less. I think that people are feeling, the police and other community members are feeling that it hasn't been the end of the world since these dispensaries and cultivation facilities have opened. They're creating jobs. They're now paying taxes. the patients that are coming from out of state and also in state too are paying taxes to support the community and support our education system as well.
I follow a page on Facebook called Laughlin Buzz. It follows all the happenings in that community. And they had a grow house recently come online, and the locals are like, oh, you can smell it when you walk by. And I enjoy watching kind of the push and pull between the locals, because that's a much smaller community down there. And there's this big, like, is it okay? Is it not? How is this going to roll? I enjoy watching that. So
And this whole thing about the smell, we tend to forget that this is a flower. It's supposed to smell. It's a flower.
Fragrant. It's
Yeah.
fragrant.
it's just people are so
the
set.
smell,
People are so set in their ways. They're like, oh, like they know what the smell is, and they know that they don't like what it smells like. I don't think they dislike the smell. They know what it is, though. And I think that's
so it's like
in
a
their
slap
head.
in the face.
Well, it's just all in their head. They're like, it's the dope in that building. It's right there. I can't believe it's right there, and I gotta walk by it. They just can't get over that. So, we'll see once again.
Well,
as time goes by,
as sad as
it'll
it is,
become-
as time goes by, they will all pass from this earth, and the young ones will arise.
no doubt.
Just saying.
Well, on that note, I got a weird little story about the NCAA is easing their marijuana penalties because
about
we've seen a
time.
lot of these sports organizations really hammer these athletes for using cannabis recreationally or medicinally. I remember Ricky Williams in the NFL he was forced to retire, and he was one of the best running backs in the NFL because he just would not compromise on his idea that he wasn't using a performance-enhancing drug, and they had no business sticking their nose in his business.
Wasn't there an Olympics and a person in the Olympics, a snowboarder that tested positive for cannabis, and they
swimmer,
ruled,
too.
and they ruled,
Michael
and they
Phelps.
and they ruled that the snowboarder wasn't in performance enhancing drug, but I disagree that on snowboarding, because when you're high and you're snowboarding, that you get creative, don't you?
You get creative with anything when you get high. I don't care if you're painting, snowboarding, singing, writing music. It's a creative channel opener.
I know, a lot of the times,
And,
It is.
times I can't even work because I do a lot of programming, and unless I'm high, it's like when
Yeah.
I go at it and before I've smoked, I get frustrated, and I'm like, it's not a good thing, and it's like, so I take a step
yeah.
back, medicate, and now I can work.
I remember Julio Cesar Chavez got fined $900,000 for testing positive for
true.
a fight. I remember Nate Diaz got suspended for 5 years for testing positive for weed, and then Ronda
did-
Rousey came out the
Yeah.
next week and said, "I don't want to fight in Vegas anymore because of this."
And there was a
And
Vegas
that's very
prohibition, isn't there?
disappointing. Well, yeah, he's
Like
still
the
on
fight-
probation, but the NCAA has been hammering him for a while, and I think that the fact that they and the big power conferences are easing up on it is really
Well, they're
going to
going to
make
lose some of their best players.
yeah,
It comes
that's
down
what
to
it's all
that.
about. Yeah, they don't want these players to go somewhere else, like the University of Colorado. And
Oh, Ross Rigobaldi was the snowboarder for the
you
Olympics.
go.
That
There
was
you
like
go.
the first. That was the first marijuana or cannabis related incident for the
But,
Olympics that came up before Michael Phelps.
there was a guy who won the Iditarod dog race who was an avid pot smoker, and they were just like, "We're going to disqualify you," and he's like, "I'm going to be stoned and still whip your ass," and kind of made a point of it and kind of shut him up because they didn't want to be any more, I guess, embarrassed than they already were or whatever. But still, it's just these NCAA players do not get paid. They don't receive any actual compensation.
Is it college?
Yeah, this is all college. These kids, so.
So they're
trying
knocking
to
out
go
some
to
of their
school.
best recruits prior
Well,
to.
they're easing up on it. They don't want to lose these kids. So
Yeah.
the power conferences and the NCAA are both backing off because, like, I feel like since this big push to unionize college players and get them more rights as this argument becomes more prolific, they have to try to. They got to, something's got to give, and this is one of those somethings that's got to give. If we're not going to pay you, we're gonna not punish you so much for smoking weed, or we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. We're gonna try to work with you a little bit more. So I'm, whatever it is, I'm happy with it. Baby steps in the right direction. He was stripped of his gold medal in 1998. That snowboarder, according to, that's
Oh,
insane.
wow.
The IOC took his gold medal away. That's just insane. I'm sorry.
Well,
if you're
see,
the
it's
best in
times
the
are
world, you're the
changing.
best.
Times are changing, man. So
How
think about it.
disappointing.
All the groundwork is well laid for marijuana legalization efforts in this next year, and that's kind of what we've been building up to. As a nonprofit organization for medical cannabis, WeCan doesn't really take an official stance on legalization, except for if it's going to hurt patients. We're
Right.
not really against it. And individually, I think many of us are for it.
Yeah, the IP1 initiative that they have here in Nevada does not affect the medical program whatsoever. It's a completely separate thing. And personally, I can only see good coming of it. If this passes and everybody can use without a card, isn't it going to be easier for those of us with a card to get more benefits out
And
of
more
this
rights?
and to leverage this? It's like, hey, we went through the process. We've got the card. We've been legal this whole time. Now anybody can use it. What are you going to give me for going and doing this extra mile and getting the card and becoming a legal patient?
We just got to
know?
be sure that they
And
don't
what
try to
what
roll
are we
back.
doing about that, Jason?
So the Nevada Dispensary Association, in addition to some of the Marijuana Council members, is actively working on their own and also with the assistance of We Can too as well. We are trying to reduce the amount of time it takes for a Nevada medical marijuana patient to get their card initially and also the renewals. The biggest problem is the initials. At least me personally, from what I'm finding working at the dispensary, it's taking, when I talk to patients, it's about 2 to 3 months for their initial initially get their cards, and it's more closer to 2 months and 2 weeks for them to actually have the card in hand. So what we're doing, and if you go into the We Can Facebook, you'll see some of the things that we're asking to patients to provide, so we can give this information to the state of Nevada, letting them know that they may not know at the higher levels how long the process is actually taking patients from their initially sending that $25 to the state, getting that application, then taking that onto their physician, and then taking that application, bringing it back to the state, and then waiting in return for it to come back again so they can go to the DMV.
And so what we need from you guys is to go onto the website or contact Jason directly and tell them, and if you don't mind, tell him how long it initially took you to get the card, or how long it took you to get your renewal.
Jason S. at wecan702.org.
Yeah.
And that was when we held our last summit. That was the number one concern from the patients
Shorten
that we
the card
had
time.
was to
Shorten the
revamp
card
the
time.
card time, the program.
Not just shorten the card time, to revamp the card program in whole. And part of the Marijuana Council that I sit on with the legislative board, we looked at this whole issue, and it's not just the card time. It's the card time, the amount of cost, the renewal. If somebody's a chronic patient or has chronic pain or is chronically wounded, they're not going to get better. By definition, chronic means that it ain't going to get better.
Have that card for 3 years.
So to get your card maybe for 3 years
If you're
instead
qualified
of,
as disabled, you should have it for life.
I think that's a great idea.
Seriously.
I don't think
You're not going to be undisabled magically someday.
I would agree with you. I think you're going to have a hard time arguing that a patient will be able to pay one time and then have that card for life.
It's got to be extreme circumstances. If they're qualified disabled, you're not, like I said, I'm just going to lay it out there like that. You can't ever be undisabled. Like, that's what that designation is for. It means you cannot,
If you've got 100%
So
disability.
you're saying a 30-year designation on how good your card is then?
as for lifetime of your residency. If you're a Nevada resident,
yeah,
you get it. Period.
I don't see why it's so hard. I mean, Jesus, in
I don't know
Arizona,
how the
your
hell you
driver's
would implement
license good
that,
for
though.
25 years.
No, that's true. In Arizona, yeah, but you know what? Some of those people from Arizona don't know how to drive. Just that's a side note.
You look at our exits on our freeway ramps. I see all the gouges. I would argue we don't know how to drive here either.
They're from Arizona.
You know what I mean? Like when I lived in LA and I saw their freeways that were old and clogged, didn't have any of those gouges from people hitting them all drunk like ours. That's when I knew that it was things were just a little bit different here.
Oh my goodness!
Adios, buddy.
All right.
And yeah, and at that meeting, the other things that we're going to be working on is retaining our ability to grow as a patient.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Huge one.
The concentrate laws. I mean, we understand that they passed these laws trying to stop people from blasting butane in their garages and blowing themselves up. But as a patient, I should be able to we should be able to make our own medicines, our own butter, and our cannabis oil,
coconut oil,
oils, and all that stuff that's safe.
You know what? The thing is,
100%
I want
safe.
to. I want to chime in on that one because how many people have blown themselves up in their garage here in Nevada over cannabis?
I don't think we've had
haven't
any,
read
have we?
anything about it.
Less than a
One, two?
handful. Less than a handful. Now,
Anybody
how
die?
many people? No.
No. Okay.
No. Now, how many people have driven drunk and from a casino and have died on the freeway? Lots.
This happened the other day, actually.
Lots
day.
of people. And the thing is that, so we're not going to outlaw people drinking in casinos.
Of course not.
So why outlaw blasting if one person dies? Or like, I don't know. It's just, for me, it's like I don't think it's safe to drink and drive, but they allow people to, serve in bars.
I agree. I'd like to see on-site consumption at some of these dispensaries and facilities at some point.
Yeah, me
but,
too.
About the blasting at home,
What do you
if
think?
it's non-combustible, I'm good with that. If you're doing like, but then
Rosin
again,
pressing?
well,
Yeah,
damn,
rosin
you
press
see,
one.
but then I
See? Yeah. It's a very difficult issue.
Yeah, I think it could be very easily changed as long as they
Ash?
change it to
Like, people have
change
been-
it to non-volatile in there. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, maybe just saying non-volatile.
But then once again, who has the money to get a CO2 rig at home?
Nobody. But the thing is, what about making RSO? What about some of these people that are treating their own cancer
Yeah,
making
okay,
RSO?
okay, I can go along with that for sure. You need to be
That's
able
what
to
I'm
do that
concerned of.
yourself.
I'm not just concerned about dabbers. I understand that
It's about-
dabbing, one tiny dab can kill your pain for like hours and hours and hours. I
You
understand
shouldn't
that.
recriminalize nonviolent behavior.
That's
if
true.
we're trying, it seems like they're just trying to create criminals in order to, I don't want to say pad their margins, or I don't know what's going on.
Well,
but
there's going to
it
be a
doesn't make
drop
any
in
sense.
there's going to be a drop in certain illegal behavior, and so they need to take it up somewhere else. Is that what you think is happening?
I don't want to think it like that. I would not like to think of it that aggressively or that maliciously. I would like to think there was something, just kind of a push and pull, like if you give us this, we got to get something back. But really, it just seems
legislative compromise.
It can't, like, it is malicious. I don't, it's hard for me to come to any other conclusion, even though I don't want to think that they would go about it that way. I really just don't enjoy having people who were forced to grow their own for such a long period of time now, at the drop of a hat, now be a criminal for doing what they were told to do for so long.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
That's
here.
not
This
okay.
is not going to happen here.
That's not okay.
Well, even IP1 allows people to grow 6 plants.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So-
people?
Yes.
All people.
All people, patient or not.
That's very cool.
That's very, very
But
cool.
but it has a limit of 12 plants per household, so you can't pack a bunch of people in a house and do a grow house. And and it has restrictions, that you can't give it to minors, even though if it passes, it goes legal for everyone. It doesn't include minors, and if you get caught giving it to a kid, you still get in trouble. Most of the stuff is very reasonable. There's really no step back in IP1. It's really just a push forward for the people who are patients.
Putting that awareness out there is really important, because I've heard a lot of patients that have been complaining, like, it's going to mess with my rights, or they're looking at all these technicalities and forgetting the bigger picture. And how much of a push forward would it be for us as a community to get this recreational standing in our state? It's like the ultimate goal, what we've been fighting for.
Yeah,
It would
I
get a
know,
lot of
and
people
for
who
one
are in the
group-
closet really excited too.
For one group to say, oh well, I don't want them to have their rights because it's going to take away something from me. As patients, I think that we can push for more, since we got a medical card, than in rights, and that IP1 allows other people to not become criminals in the state of Nevada, or not be
Exactly.
criminals when they're just performing natural behavior that they think in feeding their endocannabinoid system.
And I've heard people saying, "Oh, the bill isn't perfect, because the alcohol industry is in control of it for the first 3 years, this and that. So let's not vote for it." They realize
Guess who paid for it?
Realize that if this doesn't pass this year, and they're saying, well, it's 3 years till we can make changes. Well, guess what? If it doesn't pass this year, it's going to be 3 years till there's anything else on the books to even vote for.
And then 3
if
years
at all.
after that. So we're
Hold
looking
on.
at 6 years.
If at all.
At
It's
all.
like, I was talking to one of the main, I guess he was a lobbyist, And I told him, I said, what happens if this doesn't pass? He says, I don't know if there will be a next time because it's hard to get money to donate. It's hard to get people to donate money to losing campaigns. If you know you're a loser, they're not going to donate. That's why this California thing's such a mess. It's hard. It becomes harder and harder to raise money every time you lose. So if we lose this, it's going to be a hard sell to go back to those same donors because once again, cannabis community, as we know, even though there's a lot of us, the real community is fairly small. You're gonna have to go back to the same people asking for money for the same thing all over again. After the one initiative petition didn't get turned in and all that, it's been a shaky road that we've gone down. The whole semi-legalization thing, it's been nuts. We all know it. We cannot fuck this up. No. I don't know how to put this more bluntly.
No. I'm in total agreement with you. And the reason we have our Elevate magazine out here in front is we do have an article in Elevate talking about what WeCan does in the community. I want everybody to check it out. Elevate has been really kind to us over the years, as has Vegas Cannabis magazine. But we do have an article this month in Elevate. It's their give back issue to talk about that. And you know what? We have, 2 minutes left?
Yeah.
What do we got going on?
Well, we got to thank our sponsors, Nevada Pure. Check them out. They're running, $230 ounces? 15% off to all veterans at any given time. And every day you can use that. And You'll Find Cannabis Dispensaries. Thank you very much. They are starting to carry edibles there now too. So if
chocolate chunk brownie, yum yum.
Make sure you go check those guys out. Support the people who support us.
Yes.
First Friday this month has been canceled because it falls on New Year's Day and. No one wants to go out in that cold after partying out the night before. Okay. So it has been canceled this month, but we will be back in February in full swing.
Definitely.
We have the benefit for Bunny Cunningham coming up on January 17th.
January 17th. It's a Sunday from 4 p.m. till midnight.
A backstage bar and grill.
Stage bar and billiards.
Right across the street.
601 South Fremont Street. Tell your mama, your grandma, your aunties, whoever, bring your friends, everybody.
Absolutely.
Right on. What else do we have going on?
Well, we have our patient support group on January 9th, which is Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf on Maryland Parkway.
And our next summit that was recently announced.
Yeah.
Oh, our next summit.
The next cannabis workshop is going to be on Thursday, February 11th. This is a follow-up to our first one where we're going to be showing you how to become a citizen lobbyist. To become your best own advocate and make your voice effective in 2016, 2017. And then we're going to start to form committees to forward the goals that were the most important for everyone to work on.
All right. The most important goals were patient card access, DUI nanograms, ability to grow, concentrates, gun rights. And then there were 15 other individual comments. So if you guys want to come out and do some work, come on out to the library and you'll feel great that you did. I'd like to thank Lady Reiko.
Thanks for having
me.
me.
And Vegas All Net Radio, of course. Yep. And we'll see you next year.
Woohoo!
Bye.
Next year.